back to my channel. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Lena and I make college and book related videos here on YouTube, and you might be wondering why I'm not in my college dorm room, and that is because I am in France. That was me almost 4 months ago, and little did I know in the next 4 months how much I would be challenged and pushed to my limit, but also how much I would enjoy myself and see so many beautiful, wonderful things. I would visit many, many different towns and cities across the country. I would meet so many different wonderful people, navigate city life, and vastly improve my ability in my French skills. I would enroll in a French university and take classes alongside French students. I would be able to get on public transportation and feel completely comfortable and confident. Of course, my vlogs really do make it seem like a highlight reel of my time in France, and that's intentional. I didn't want to have my vlogs be filled with bad memories, and also when I was having tough and challenging moments, I definitely was not in the mood to film, so of course I wasn't filming. However, there were challenges that I met along the way, frustrations with my classes and communication, frustrations with my inability to comprehend or execute what I would like to simply because my language was getting in the way. There were days when all I wanted to do was just go home and see my family. There were days when the only thing that kept me going was imagining arriving home back at the Boston Logan International Airport. So I'm not going to lie to you and pretend that studying abroad was a walk in the park and everything was beautiful and sunny and wonderful and happy. I was forced to change host families. As I mentioned before, I was homesick. I wanted to be able to see my family again. I was made fun of for who I was and as an American and as an individual. But at the same time, there were so many wonderful moments. There were moments when I was so grateful that I'd made the decision to come abroad, even though I was deeply struggling and during many moments. This was when I saw beautiful buildings that I knew I would never have the chance to see in the US, or when I was able to get in contact with parts of history that simply are not going to be in the United States. And of course, I was just stunned by the everyday beauty around me and getting to meet so many new and diverse people. There was also a plethora of wild cats during my time abroad, so whether they were in the yard of my host family's house, on the sidewalk, or in an abandoned alleyway, or in someone else's yard, there were cats everywhere for me to come and pet. They're even at museums sometimes. So it was the little things like this that kept me going. It was the daily phone calls to my parents. It was the dozens and dozens of postcards that I sent to family and friends. It was the time that I spent journaling, and it was the time that I spent pausing and reflecting how truly lucky I was. And of course, as I mentioned, there was the opportunity for me to travel, whether this was with my program for day trips with all of the other American students, or the individual solo travel that I was able to do on my own. Honestly, the solo travel was the highlight, or one of the highlights of my time abroad, because I was able to conduct research that I had been dreaming of, honestly, since I was in 6th grade or so. I was able to research Anne of Brittany and go to Brittany, France, which was a region I had been longing to visit for quite some time. I was able to go to the chateaus that Anne frequented during her lifetime, as well as learn so much more about her life and others' lives during that period. It was during these moments that I realized how blessed I truly was to have this opportunity not only to study abroad, be able to travel abroad, and visit so many wonderful locations and learn so much about the rich history that not only France has to offer, but the world. My mom was also able to come visit me during this week abroad when I was traveling and doing my research, and this was a very special time for me to be able to share my experience in France with someone that I dearly love, but also to be able to continue to practice and be independent and responsible for my French language skills, because oftentimes I was deflecting to others when I knew that they could speak French better than I could. But this was an opportunity for me to challenge myself and push myself with my French language skills, and I definitely appreciated this opportunity. Of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention all of the lovely friends I made along the way, both inside and outside of my program. This was an opportunity that I did not expect would happen, mostly because I was kind of pessimistic about this, but I met so many wonderful people through my program and made wonderful, lasting friendships that really got me through the semester, and so many wonderful people that were supportive of me no matter what, even when things were getting tough for myself and for others. So of course I'm grateful to so many of those that were in my program and those that were just wonderful friends through thick and through thin. Something else that was so different for me was cafe life, being able to go into different cafes, new ones, old ones, familiar ones, and just get a pastry or a cup of tea or a latte or something along those lines to sip along and chat with family and friends or study and do work. It was such a different lifestyle for me based upon where I live. And this was really great, not only because it was in France, but just because I had never really been in touch with this social aspect of cities. I was also lucky enough to visit several different bookstores in Toulouse and in Paris mostly, and of course, books were some of my main souvenirs that I took home with me. Are we surprised? I think not. But I was so grateful for the opportunity to get so many different books and bring them all home with me, and I'm so excited to read some of them during this Christmas break. Time passed at a very odd tempo while I was abroad. On one hand, it felt like I was abroad for years of my life, and on the other, it felt like I was there for a mere 2 or 3 weeks. And so it's hard to tell how I'll feel about study abroad as I continue to think about it and reflect upon it in the weeks and months to come. But I can say I am so grateful I decided to take the opportunity. I think study abroad offices often claim that this study abroad experience will change your life and you'll never be the same person again. And while I feel this is a little bit exaggerated, I do think that it changed at least some parts of me or forced me to challenge some of my views as I adapted to a different culture and explored a different culture. And so with that, I am grateful I did that. And I look forward to one day returning to France. Now we are back in my final week in Toulouse, so all of these videos were filmed during that final week. This was my finals week at the Catholic Institute, and so I was stressed, to say the least. I had a lot of finals through my CIE program as well as the Catholic Institute. I was mostly stressed about the Catholic Institute finals, and they consumed a lot of my time and kept me very stressed and busy, so I honestly didn't have that much time to vlog other than taking some clips of new places throughout the city that I hadn't really filmed yet. Of course, I mentioned previously that I had switched host families, so in my new host family's location, I was in much more close to the city center, and so I had greater access to these beautiful monuments and buildings and so many different places to go and see that I had not really viewed before. Naturally, the final week was full of lots of goodbyes, whether that was goodbyes to people or final moments in buildings or locations around the city, final moments of certain foods or certain scents or certain feelings in different areas. The weather was absolutely gorgeous that last week. We were so spoiled. There was the last tea time with my friends, and there was the last study sessions as we all prepped for finals and got ready to go home. Of course, there were the Christmas lights to be seen, and when I got out of my last final at ICT, I took all of these shots because I really wanted to just embrace those last moments at the Catholic Institute. Those classes, while they were very challenging, mostly because they were in French, not necessarily content-wise, I learned a lot from them and was so grateful to the professors who were so kind and went out of their way to help me and all of the other Americans succeed to the best of our ability. I was also grateful for all of the French students who went out of their way to explain things or re-explain things when I was confused or some of my peers were confused. And honestly, those students really pulled through. To be honest, the last 2 weeks in Toulouse were extremely hectic, and I really was just excited to go home, excited to get through finals. But on this last Friday after I got out of my final, I realized that I would miss this city, and I would miss my time in France more so than I had anticipated. I would miss wandering through the Pink City. I would miss being with the certain people, and I would miss my time here abroad. And so, with that, I just tried to soak in those last few moments on Friday afternoon. I got up at 3 a.m. on Saturday morning to head to the airport. My host mom graciously dropped me off at the airport, and I went from Toulouse to Paris and then eventually to Boston. Of course, I had a lovely book to read with me, but I didn't really film when I got to Boston or got home because the weather was horrible. But, of course, when I was reunited with my pets, it was a great moment. And now I'm just chilling in the days leading up to Christmas, reading, relaxing, being with family, and it has been so wonderful, this journey. Thank you for following along, and if you have any questions, video recommendations, book recommendations, leave them down in the comments below. I'll probably be filming a video about my experience studying abroad at some point. I could also do a Q&A if you're interested in that, but that is that. It's been 4 months. It's been a journey, to say the least. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next week.